Welcome to Green Voices. Today, I don't know what day we are in lockdown, because we are still in lockdown, I'm chatting with Melissa Williams, who has navigated herself and her way through lockdown and probably through life as well. We're going to find out exactly what Melissa Williams gets up to, and we're going to ask her a few questions just to see what makes Mel tick. Welcome, Mel.
Hi, Kat. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. Always a pleasure to speak to a fellow creative person. I do enjoy hearing what you get up to, because I know a bit about you, not too much, and I'm sure you're going to tell us a little bit more about what makes Mel tick, what makes you do what you do. So tell me a little bit more about where did you start? What is it that you get up to every day?
Okay, well, I am a late bloomer. When I finished school, I thought I'd become a journalist. So I went off to university and decided I hated university, and it wasn't for me. So I ended up leaving university early and went off to work and met a wonderful husband and had two wonderful children. And I've spent the last 13 years raising my children. But part of me during that period was a bit sad that I never finished university and didn't really self-actualize. So when my kids were about 4 or 5 years old, I decided to go back to university and discovered again that it was still not for me. And then I thought, well, what I really wanted to do was to be at home with my kids, but learn as much as I possibly could about all kinds of things. And I honed it down to graphic design and surface pattern design, which is the design version of making repeating patterns for products. So the last 3 or 4 years I've been studying that through various courses. And I opened a little business making stationery and paper products a couple of years ago. And from there, I really realized my passion was to create the actual artwork, not so much the end product. So I shelved my little business last year and pursued surface pattern design full-time and have been working on my portfolio. I hope to have had that finished by the end of last year, but life threw me a curveball, and my eldest child was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, which was quite a devastating diagnosis at the time, even though he's fine now and we're all coping. We've come around a corner. But then COVID hit and sort of threw us for another ball. So I'm still working on my portfolio, but this lockdown has helped me sort of really take stock of what's important, and that Rome wasn't built in a day. So I'm still busy working on my portfolio and trying to find and pinpoint my niche. And that's pretty much where I'm at the moment.
Okay, so you say you're trying to pinpoint your niche. So you worked in journalism, so that was very much creative processing or writing. The creative.
Well, I didn't work in journalism. I started off thinking I would study that. I enjoyed writing, and yes, so I'm a creative person at heart. Totally.
Okay, so the creative process is there inside of you, and now you've got graphic technical skills with this, and you're starting to find your passion is in patterns and creating patterns for anything specific. You say it's not the end product that you have in mind, but it's the idea of creating patterns.
Yes. So a repeating pattern would be any sort of artwork that repeats seamlessly and infinitely. So you create a tile in either a Photoshop or Illustrator, You can create it manually, but obviously that's huge, time and time intensive. But it's quicker to do it digitally, and that allows you to create a file that can be applied to any product at any scale, especially if it's a vector. So if you want to make curtain fabric or any sort of bolt fabric, if you want to make wallpaper, if you want to create
tiles,
apply patterns to packaging, any of those kinds of things would be suitable. So while I don't want to create the product itself, I'm not creating wallpaper myself. I'm not creating fabric myself. I'm creating the artwork that could be applied to those kinds of products. So, and I'm finding that my style is more suitable towards children's wear, or because it's very whimsical. It's not fine art; it's more commercial art. So it would be best suited to children's swimwear or children's pajamas, or apparel.
Okay, so
that kind of thing.
All patterns. And then where'd you get your inspiration from? I know you had traveled. Is it something that you've seen from your travels, or is it something that you see from books, magazines? Where'd you find this? Where'd you find the patterns? In your head?
So I usually find my inspiration comes from my garden. I have, as I mentioned, I've got two children. My daughter loves to draw, so she's often drawing very whimsical drawings, and I'll often get inspired by what she's drawn. I love flowers. Living near the coast is very inspirational because you can just go down to the beach and there is just a myriad of shells and sea life that you can draw from. I take loads of photos with my iPhone. It's a bit of a problem because it takes up a lot of space. But I find that if I'm at the moment I'm designing an animal print, and it's just so amazing to be able to go through my Google Photos and just get pictures of previous holidays, and then draw a motif, draw icons from that, and then create my icons from my own photographs, rather than going onto Pinterest or rather than going onto Google. Although I don't say don't do that, it's best to draw from your own photographs, from your own what's around you, rather than, because the internet can be a bit sort of incestuous in that way, and us being all connected is amazing, but if we're all just doing the same thing, there's just that lack of variety, and it can also put you into murky waters with copyright, etc. So I try and avoid that.
Okay, so and you saying like your genre is more going to be towards children's fun patterns for fabrics and wear. So that's kind of your answer. So it's bright and it's cheerful and it's colorful and okay. And then so you say you're working on a portfolio. Is it so? It's not something that you create a business. You don't set it up you don't register this idea and you market it like that. You're working on as a portfolio, and then you approach design houses or pattern makers, or how do you market this into? How do you sell it?
Yes, it seems from what I can gather, my idea of the way I market myself is to create artwork and show it on social media, but then also have a closed portfolio that I'd need to pitch to design houses or manufacturers. South Africa's industry I'm not very familiar with because I've started so late, so I haven't really developed that many contacts. But it seems like I've been contacted in the past by small businesses that have asked me to produce artwork for their products. So it's about being visible on social media, and which is a bit tricky because there's this algorithm that you're sort of fighting against. But then the advice is to not rely on social media so much, but have a closed portfolio that you can pitch to via email to various companies. And that seems to be how the industry works overseas. So I've also, other ways I've got my work out there is I created my own website, and then I've linked my website to print-on-demand websites that are overseas, and they produce all kinds of products. So from cushions to iPhone cases, and artists can upload their designs to these sites and then have their art mocked up on these products.
Oh, wow.
And with the idea is that the artists must then market themselves via social media and through various channels, and then drum up the interest in their art, or use tagging, search term tagging on the various POD websites that would get their customers to see their art. So if somebody's looking for an iPhone case with kittens on it, they would type in cute kittens in the search term, and hopefully you've tagged your artwork with cute kittens, and it will pop up on their feed and they can look at your work.
Oh, wow.
It's a bit of a lottery.
Is this an American-based online platform?
Yes, there are a few. They're mostly American, but there are Australian and European sites too. So there's global. It's global. So yeah.
Okay, so if somebody's looking for so it gets produced in their country, but now they want to put a patent to it. So whatever it is, they can then choose different products. I've seen something like that. It's almost like an app where you choose your logo, and then they show you, oh, look, you can put it on a cup and a mug and a journal and you can choose
yes.
so
in
things.
South Africa, it's like there's a few companies in South Africa that do it, but they're not quite to the same level as these companies in the UK and in the States. Here it's more brand marketing. So
logo.
They've got various products, and then they will print your logo onto their products I think it's just on a scale, unit price.
Yes.
If you ordered 100 of them, you get them for 20 Rand each or something. Whereas these companies, and now I don't know if you want to link in your
I'll put all the links
at the end. They call ones that come to mind as Society 6,
okay.
And there's another one called Red Bubble, which is, I believe, is Australian, and the another one is called Zazzle. And there's actually, there must be
millions,
hundreds. There are a lot, but those
yes.
are the main ones that jump to mind. And so you create your artwork. You need to create it at quite a high resolution, and then you upload it.
You have to register your name and all your details.
Yes, you need to register a profile. Okay. And in some cases, if you're not a US citizen, you'd need to fill in some sort of tax form, because they are just implementing that now, where they want to tax artists or sellers. Yeah. It's a bit of an admin thing there, but up to now it's been fairly straightforward.
Okay.
And then once you upload your file, you can view it on various products and adjust it so that it looks the best it can.
Okay.
And then you obviously tag and then go onto your social media and talk about it and tell your friends and they talk about it and tell their friends, hopefully.
So you can like it, and it comes up with hearts, and so more tag and more people liking it. So it's almost like a social media platform in itself, plus
Yeah.
a place where you can purchase from. And then if somebody chooses your artwork, then you get the remunerations for that. They then
you get small royalty fee. Obviously, the print on demand site is going to take a big cut because they are taking the most of the risk. So they're printing the product and shipping it. You don't have any contact with the customer whatsoever. In fact, that's the downside, is that you can't develop a relationship with the customer. The customer's just buying a commodity, from the website, and they don't really know that it was designed by Melly Studio. They might, if they were interested, they would see that it's Melly Studio was the shop, but they don't get any sort of branding on their end when everything's branded, all the packaging, that when they receive whatever good it was that they ordered, the cushion or the iPhone cover will come in Society 6.
Okay. So there's no link inside. So when you go to online shops, you normally get a link to take you to a person's portfolio or a company's information, their profile. You can't do that and see your other work.
You can do that. Yes, you can. You will be able to see their portfolio of work that they've uploaded to the site, but it won't send them outside of the site to that artist's website where they might have other work. So it's sort of like, a bit of you have to find another way to attract people's eyes onto your work if you want to do that.
Okay. And then somebody like Take a Lot, they don't offer anything like that, I don't think. They're just pure products.
I think so.
So there's nothing in South Africa.
South Africa seems to be a little bit behind the curve on that, and hopefully somebody will see some potential in there, because there's a lot of talent in South Africa, and I think it's a great little side hustle line for especially a student or somebody to
set up a online platform that's able to have portfolios, because as you say, there's so many different ones where you can upload your artwork and say you even compete. So somebody puts a brief together and says, right, I'm looking for a whole corporate identity. I want my logo. I'd like the whole stationery pack, and I'd like and then 10 million people from around the world will then enter that competition, and then one person will be they'll shortlist it, and then they'll select from that the one person, and then that person obviously then gets paid that fee. So there's so many different platforms, even this other one which is Boosted, which allows you to create your whole Instagram beautiful showcase maybe of who your business is, and then right at the end, like, oh look, you can take your logo into all these different places and purchase from. So there's definitely so many opportunities here that South Africa could start, because we haven't got it, and it just needs somebody to say, okay, business idea, let's do it. Not something you
I've looked into doing freelance work via Upwork, and there's another one, I think it's called Print for Hire or Print Pattern for Hire or something like that. I can't remember quite what. But it's also it's very saturated. So you really have to somehow find a way to stand out, and also spend a lot of time, researching, spend a lot of time uploading, artwork, and spend a lot of time on social media. And as a busy mom of two, it's a bit tricky. So right now I'm just focusing on my portfolio, and once I've got that little tidy package, then I'm going to start making contact with other companies and see where that takes me. Okay, so in the meantime, I've been uploading to these print on demand sites, which have helped me just
keep
see
going.
my work on product. Yeah.
It keeps you going, keeps you building your portfolio. So you can either go in two directions. You can either become like a Robin Sprong and then say, all right, I'm going to create my own brand and people need to come to me because I'm going to create a beautiful brand with beautiful product and I'll open up. Or you can say, let's approach maybe the retailers like Ackermans or Woolworths or whoever sells, especially bed clothing, I think as well, like a bed duvets. They're always looking for patterns and cushions, and so they're always looking for new designs, and they actually do bring in people from outside, so to give them patterns, and they buy from them. So you've got two directions which you go in. Which one do you see yourself more in?
Oh, I think I'd like to stay freelance because I don't know if I could ever be if I could work in-house with a company such as like a Robin Sprong. I think I'd find that at this stage of the game with kids and stuff, it's a bit hectic. And yeah, I don't know. Who knows where it'll take me? I suppose never say never. It's
just keep going.
it's where I'm going to fit in and where my artwork will fit in, and that's it. I'd love to do commission work for small businesses. I'm passionate about small businesses, and I think I'm really passionate about the small business in South Africa making a go of it and producing our own stuff instead of shipping it in from China. It's a tough thing because printing is expensive.
Yes.
And it's so easy to have stuff printed. Well, pre-COVID, it was easy to have stuff printed in China. If you had to obviously go through a middleman who would do the communication, but it's so cheap, so much cheaper than in South Africa. Here it's expensive. So if you wanted to start like a little swimwear, kids swimwear, business, and having the spandex, printed, it's possible to have it printed here, and there are companies that have their stuff printed here in Durban and in Cape Town. It's just getting the South African consumer behind it, because instead of buying from that little small business, going down to Mr. Price, who's had all their swimwear printed in China. It's a toss up, and that's what I learned when I had my business and I made planners, little diaries. I found, to compete with the major retail stationery store that has planners for 100 rand or typo, or it was hard. So you have to provide something. You have to really research your target market and know what the consumer wants. And at the moment in South Africa, the consumer really wants something really, really cheap, easy, and cost effective. So that's hard.
Instant gratification. Go into a shop, buy, got it. Yes, we're still at that marshmallow brain stage. But then, what do you think about that Christmas market? Like the one that we have every year at Sada, and people just throw money. It's just like endless money. You can make tons of it, and you can put a stall up there with all your products. And have you ever tried that? Or even
I never tried Sada, but I did try a few other Christmas markets. And Sada and those kinds of the businesses that are at Sada, they're at the top of their game.
Yep.
So their products are, while they're not cheap, they are well made, and their market is they're really niche,
and very unique products. Because then you also get the Christmas markets at Pinelands and the one at Redham and all the school markets and the churches, and it just goes crazy around Christmas time, and people are looking for different, not let's go to Mr. Price buy
Yes.
They're
They're looking for something unique, and that's not everybody else is going to have under their Christmas tree. So yeah, that takes a lot of research and work
and planning.
Yeah.
So just to end this off now, I see you've got some patterns up behind you. Are those some of your works, or is it something that inspires you? Okay.
This is my work behind me.
Love the one on the top above your head. The one on it looks very Japanesey. It's funny. Oh, I can just imagine that as a towel and a matching costume for a child. I can see Kyra.
I think so too. Thanks, Kat.
Love that one. Catches my eye. Cool. So now, you say you've got a website, or is this something you put together a website? So if anybody wants to see and get in touch with you,
I have a website. It's www.mellystudio. It's all one word, and Melly is double L and MELLY SSTUDIO.com.
Okay.
And you can also find me on Instagram, where I post fairly regularly.
Okay.
And that is also Melly's _ studio is that handle.
Okay.
And
I'll put all
pretty sure that's it, but I'm not completely 100% off, but I will we'll link it down.
Yes, I'll link it in there. And then you say as well you list at different platforms. So I'll put all those links at the bottom. Although if you can send those through to me. And then we can have a look at your work and then watch you grow and see where you obviously you're not going to end up somewhere, you're just going to keep going.
I'm going to keep going,
yeah. And then we'll just watch you and see what your journey goes. Cool. And any last thoughts? Anything to inspire somebody coming, wanting to do something like what you do? What would you say to them?
We live in an amazing age where you can learn anything on the internet, and it's just you just got to try things and don't give up. And you're always going to look at your first piece of work and go, oh, that's rubbish, and that's okay. But you just keep going.
Keep going. Yeah, keep on swimming. Thank you so much, Mel. It's always lovely chatting with you, and I wish you the best of luck with your journey onwards and upwards. And thank you for taking some time.
Thank you for this huge privilege. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Cheers.